Tomorrow, the USFL will be running their supplemental draft, which could result in some big-name players being taken. Since the inaugural draft, multiple players have added their name to the draft pool and could be taken in the 10-round snake draft. In this video, I want to go over 4 quarterbacks to keep an eye on in tomorrow's draft. Kelly Bryant has had an up-and-down career since college and has jumped between the Arena Football League and CFL. Bryant is from Calhoun Falls, South Carolina, and attended Wren High School in Piedmont. When he was a junior, Kelly missed the first half of a game due to vomiting up blood, and after an MRI at the hospital, doctors found and removed a large abscess which could have been life-threatening had it burst. As a senior, he threw for 3,579 yards and 41 touchdowns while also rushing for 720 yards and 14 touchdowns on the ground. He finished as a finalist for Mr. Football South Carolina and led his team to 11 wins. Coming out of high school, he was a 3-star recruit, choosing to commit to Clemson over the likes of Ole Miss and Florida. Bryant spent the first 2 years at Clemson as a backup quarterback to Deshaun Watson, being a part of 2 ACC championship winning teams and a national championship winning team. After Watson left for the NFL, Bryant became the starting quarterback for Clemson, leading the Tigers to a 12-2 record and a spot in the college football playoffs. He finished the year throwing for 2,802 yards, 13 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, while also rushing for 665 yards and 11 touchdowns on the ground. Kelly started the 2018 season as a Tiger starting quarterback, but at the end of September was benched for former top recruit Trevor Lawrence. Because of this, Bryant decided to enter the transfer portal to hold on to his last year of eligibility. Although Clemson won the national title, Dabo Swinney chose not to give Kelly Bryant a national championship ring that year. Bryant decided to transfer to Missouri. He played 10 games with the Tigers, throwing for 2,215 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. He went undrafted during the 2020 NFL Draft and decided to sign with the Toronto Argonauts of the Canadian Football League. He also spent time with the Bismarck Bucks of the Indoor Football League, throwing for 48 yards and a touchdown while rushing for 87 yards in 2 games. He has since returned to Wren High School to mentor quarterbacks. Kelly Bryant could be a name fans recognize, and the USFL could give him an opportunity to reinvigorate his career. DeAndre Francois is from Florida, moving between Miami and Orlando growing up. He started playing football at 9 for the Orlando Outlaws and began his high school career at Olympia High School. While at Olympia, he threw for 3,162 yards and 28 touchdowns, choosing to transfer to IMG Academy for his senior year. While at IMG, he threw for 1,488 yards and 18 touchdowns, finishing his career in the Under Armour All-American game. Coming out of high school, DeAndre was a 4-star recruit, choosing Florida State over Florida. He redshirted during the 2015 season and competed for the starting job with Sean McGuire in 2016. McGuire would get hurt, and Francois took over the starting quarterback job, throwing for 419 yards and 2 touchdowns in the season opener against Ole Miss. He led the Seminoles to a 10-3 record, throwing for 3,350 yards, 20 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, while also rushing for 5 touchdowns on the ground. During the 2017 season, he tore his patella tendon in the opening game and missed the rest of the season. In 2018, he took back the starting role, throwing for 2,731 yards and 15 touchdowns. In February of 2019, Francois was kicked off the Florida State football team after a video of a domestic dispute between him and his girlfriend surfaced on social media. He announced that May he would walk on at Florida Atlantic, but it would never materialize, and instead he transferred to Hampton University. While at Hampton, Francois started all 12 of the Pirates games, throwing for 2,522 yards and a school record 26 touchdowns. He was invited to the HBCU's Combine, but would be canceled due to the events of 2020. He went undrafted during the 2020 NFL Draft and signed with the Atlanta Falcons, but would not make the team. He then signed with the Fan Control Football League, playing quarterback for the Glacier Boys. He led the league with 11 passing touchdowns and 300 passing yards, leading the Glacier Boys to the championship game, where they lost to the Wild Aces 46-40. He then signed with the Spring League. DeAndre showed flashes of superstar potential in college, and if given the opportunity in the USFL, he could become a star. Next, I want to talk about Brandon Silvers, who XFL fans may remember from the Seattle Dragons. Silvers is originally from Pensacola, Florida. His family moved to Orange Beach, Alabama, where Silvers would go on to play for Gulf Shores High School. He threw for 2,468 yards and 26 touchdowns as a junior, and for 1,400 yards and 6 touchdowns, while also rushing for 410 yards and 9 touchdowns on the ground as a senior. He was viewed as an under-the-radar prospect, being rated as a 3-star quarterback, choosing to commit to Troy, but receiving interest from Alabama, Florida State, and Mississippi State. He redshirted in 2013 and set the NCAA record for the highest completion percentage by a freshman in 2014. After 2 losing seasons, in 2016, Silvers led Troy to a 10-3 record and a bowl win over Ohio, and followed that up with another winning season. Troy finished as Sun Belt co-champions and won their bowl game over North Texas. Silvers finished his collegiate career throwing for 10,677 yards, 71 touchdowns, and 29 interceptions, while also rushing for 16 touchdowns on the ground. He entered the 2018 NFL Draft, where he would go undrafted, and attended the New Orleans Saints rookie minicamp. After failing to be signed by the Saints, Silvers signed with the Memphis Express of the AAF, where he was a third-string quarterback behind Christian Hackenberg and Zach Mettenberger. After injuries in the quarterback room, Silvers began to split time with Johnny Manziel towards the end of the season. By the time the league had folded, he had started 2 games, finishing throwing for 799 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He was eventually signed and waived by the Jets, and then joined the XFL, being chosen by the Seattle Dragons, where he started 2 games, throwing for 308 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. When the XFL season was canceled due to the events of 2020, Silvers decided to sign with the Spring League, where he played for the Conquerors, throwing for 685 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He recently signed with the USFL, but it was after the deadline to be included for the USFL draft, and that is why he wasn't taken during that process. Many expect him to be taken during tomorrow's supplemental draft. Luis Perez is one of my favorite players that has come out of the spring football leagues. He played 2 years of junior varsity football in high school, but after constantly being moved around by his coaches, he decided to stop playing football. He decided to attend a community college, where he walked onto the Southwestern college football team with no high school film and no experience at the high school level. He came in as a quarterback and was the 9th player on the depth chart, and coaches recommended him to change his position, but he refused. Due to injuries and transfers, he would become the starting quarterback by the 3rd week of the season, and started putting up big numbers before getting hurt, and returned the following season, leading his team to the conference championship. Perez would not earn any Division I scholarships, and instead enrolled at Texas A&M Commerce, a D2 school in Northeast Texas. He would redshirt his first year before taking over the starting job, having a strong season, being named a Harlan Hill Award nominee, the Heisman of the Division II. The following year, he led the Lions to win the Division II National Championship and won the Harlan Hill Trophy. He finished his career throwing for 8,327 yards, 78 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions in 2 years, putting together a 22-3 record as a starter. He would go undrafted in the 2018 NFL Draft, but was signed by the Los Angeles Rams and later released. He then would sign with the AAF, playing for the Birmingham Iron, helping them clinch a playoff berth before the season was suspended. He was then signed and waived by the Eagles and Lions before joining the XFL, originally being allocated to the Los Angeles Wildcats. After the Wildcats signed Josh Johnson, Perez would be traded to the New York Guardians. Perez impressed in the XFL, leading the New York Guardians into playoff contention before the season was cut short. He then played in the Spring League, leading the Jousters to the championship game. He is one of the more intriguing players, with Mike Mitchell from the XFL News Hub writing, "Luis Perez will be an asset to any team in the USFL. Coaches will love him. Not only is he a hard worker and humble, he is only 27 years old and still has upside, and he's had tough luck in his development." Surprisingly, Perez was not taken during the USFL draft, but you gotta think if his name is still in the draft pool, one team is going to take him during the supplemental draft. I've become a huge fan of Luis Perez over the years and hope he is able to put up big numbers in USFL. He has played in every spring league and is also a professional level bowler. But that leaves the question, which quarterback do you hope is in the USFL Supplemental Draft? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out my video on the 39 wide receivers taken in the inaugural USFL Draft right here. Don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe for more USFL content. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.